I think the big focus for a lot of IT businesses, especially those having exposure to the UK and European markets, would be what happens with the Brexit deal and what that would translate into in terms of client budgets for a lot of the clients that they would service within the region. R. Chandrashekhar, who's former President NASCOMM, and Shivendra Singh, Vice President Head Global Trade Development at NASCOMM, join in with their perspective. Mr. Chandrashekhar, let me start off with you. Good morning. What's your prima facie understanding of how this may impact business, especially, if you take the example of Tech Mahindra, they are quite exposed.
Yeah. Well, this has to be looked at a couple of different levels. The first and the one which usually comes up earliest is the implications it has for skilled workers, technically skilled workers going from India. From that perspective, Brexit has been, I would say, probably positive, because while earlier it was much easier for workers from the EU to move to UK, post Brexit, people from India stand at least an equal chance. Also, the kind of statements emanating from UK and from the PM in the run-up to the yesterday's vote earlier actually did indicate that they would prefer to take skilled workers, and that in turn would be a good thing for India. On the downside, however, are the economic implications of Brexit, and more particularly the manner in which the Brexit eventually happens. Yesterday's vote makes it clear that the agreement which Prime Minister May reached is not going to be the one which will determine how the exit will happen. What is not clear even today is exactly how the exit will happen, whether it will happen in an orderly or a disorderly fashion, and what would be the final contours. Is it going to be just a no deal and UK having the same status as any other country in the world, or is it going to be some kind of a customs union, or is it going to be a Canada kind of arrangement, or is it going to be a Nordic kind of arrangement? These are all things which are still up in the air, and people are not even ruling out. In fact, many people think that that is another possibility of going back with a second referendum. So all of these being on the table, it's still not very clear what the manner of the exit would be and the economic implications. But prolonged uncertainty, negative impact on the economy,
right.
Flight of capital or business from UK, all of that would, I think, be a negative for the industry in India.
Yeah. Shivendra, I want to get you in because perhaps you would have a better handle on where things stand as of now. There's been an unprecedented vote down of PM Theresa May's Brexit deal that can lead to a prolonged uncertainty in the UK-EU client spending decisions or budgets, perhaps. How much business do we draw from the UK and EU region, and what could be the cost for Indian IT companies?
Well, thank you. I think, it is a time which is full of conjecture. We are sitting on the 16th of January while the Brexit is, supposedly going to happen on the 29th of March. And we still have 4 options remaining. There is a deal option, which is going to be increasingly more difficult, given the 230 vote loss which Prime Minister May had in Parliament yesterday. There is a no deal option, there is a no confidence vote option, and there is a referendum option. And possibly, just given a few more days till the 21st of January for coming out with a plan B, where, possibly a new deal should be looked at, is not going to be an easy way to persuade Parliament to get into that. So it is a bit of a concern in terms of where, Brexit is heading. Now, coming to the, specifics in terms of business, UK is the second largest market for the IT companies. It's about 17 to 18% of the export revenue. The rest of Europe is about 11%. So, as of now, the companies are quite fine with what the businesses in UK are looking at. Yes, business decision making has become slow. We are also carefully following up on the issue of passporting and equivalent standards which may emerge because financial services is very important as a market for our member companies. And because of passporting not going through, where banks and other financial institutions may have to set up in the EU because of different regulatory standards, and some kind of a compromise being reached through an equivalent standard where some kind of regulatory framework being common is something which companies will be looking at because fintech and financial services will still form a very critical part of the growth story in the UK, and and hence that is very important for the IT industry. Currently, the business models of our companies cater to the UK and cater to the EU, in separate ways. So, I think as the decision making gets prolonged, and as we all know, businesses, want stability and continuity. So we are obviously looking for that and see how that pans out. I think on the skills front, which Mr. Chandrashekhar pointed out, the immigration white paper, which came out recently, talks about a nationality agnostic preference for skilled workers, and I think NASCOMM welcomes that because at the end of the day, it's a skilled worker. Where he or she comes from should not be the consideration. And around the world, as we know, in the whole IT sector, there's going to be 66.
Right. Okay. Let me get in the Chandrashekhar back again. When we spoke to the management of TCS 2 days ago, the TCS management told me the following: that if Brexit happens, it will be a complicated one and it will have impact on our business. We cannot tell you how much, but business will be impacted. Now, I wonder that if you are a UK based financial bank, and if IT is such a large part of your DNA, why would you like your business to be disrupted? I'm sure the solution would be found very soon, Mr. Chandrashekhar.
Well, obviously, no one would like the business to be disrupted. But I think the key question here is the final arrangement that emerges, and what differences, if any, there would be in standards, what impediments that would pose to the flow of capital, the flow of goods across the borders, and what rearrangements it would need in terms of how these transactions take place. Remember that for the last few decades, UK has slowly dismantled most of these controls post the integration with EU. So restoring them also is a time-consuming process, and even though implementation is slated to happen between March this year and December end next year, that is still a fairly short period. So there are, of course, some possibilities of business opportunities even in the transition-related activities. But the bigger question is, I think, the how it would impact businesses and what implications that would have for decision making and the business of the Indian IT companies. As Shivendra pointed out, UK accounts for about 18%, Europe about 11%. And therefore, and India has, I think it would be fair to say, a somewhat better foothold in UK in comparison to the rest of Europe, partly because of language and other issues. So a shift from UK to Europe might be one barrier that would have some negative implications, at least in the short run. But overall, I think a lot depends on how orderly or disorderly the exit is, because currently I think the politics around it has thrown up a great deal of uncertainty, and even today that is something which is extremely difficult to see exactly which way this will go.
Yeah, so finally, in conclusion, what is the way forward that you see, sentimentally for businesses exposed to the region? London is a financial hub and is an important market. There's a lot of conjecture about how the financial sector would be hit, and I think some of the key clients would be from that space. So how do Indian businesses prepare themselves for the volatility that lies ahead? Shivendra, you can take that question.
Well, as of now, business is as usual, and companies are waiting for how the processes are going to be implemented. I think for businesses, as I mentioned earlier, it's important that stability is there. So this unease in terms of all the options being present and the way forward, I think once it's decided, we'd obviously want that this decision happens quickly in whatever way and form, so that businesses can go ahead and plan. Because planning gets impacted if uncertainty continues for a long period of time.
Okay, gentlemen, great to have you on the show. Thanks much for really highlighting what a non-Brexit or a Brexit would mean for Indian IT. While the deal still continues to be in a limbo, let's see which way this actually heads.